family. He wanted to tell her that it wasn't necessary to try to impress his mother and father with what she thought they might want to hear, especially since her words were untrue. But he decided to keep his mouth shut. His parents had only met her 5 minutes ago, so they didn't need to know the whole truth of the matter. Madeline had an older brother whom she never saw, never spoke of beyond vague references, or even took the time to contact by phone. Henrietta nodded. Yes, there is nothing greater than family and the ties that bind us. After Isaiah said a short but heartfelt grace to bless the food, they were ready to eat. As head of the house, Isaiah took the lead, lifting one of the large serving platters from the middle of the table. "Let's dig in," he said happily as he passed around the first dish. John loaded his plate with 3 pieces of tender, golden fried chicken. But when the platter came around to Madeline, she declined and passed it along to Henrietta. John eagerly piled a generous helping of macaroni and cheese next to his chicken, while Madeline eked out only a tiny dollop from the heaping bowl of savory noodles. When the collards came his way, John licked his lips as he ladled the dark greens and pieces of seasoned pork beside the rest of his food. Madeline, however, scrutinized the dish, picking around the pieces of fatty meat, allowing only a few sparse leaves to make their way onto her plate. After they had all finished serving themselves, Madeline was the only person at the table whose plate was practically bare. John knew that Madeline was picky about most things, and that she was especially selective when it came to food. She watched her weight closely, priding herself on being fashionably slim, with just the right amount of heftiness in the strategic places he loved. Although John was well aware of her predilection for fussiness, he'd hoped, for diplomacy's sake, that she would at least make an attempt to appease his mother by sampling the food she'd put obvious time and care into preparing. He knew that every woman wanted to be on the good side of her man's mother, but he'd underestimated Madeline's steely resolve for unconventional boldness. "You're not hungry, Madeline?" Henrietta asked. "Well, honestly—" "Madeline's watching her weight, Mama." John spoke up, not sure of what might fly out of his girlfriend's mouth. He wasn't in the habit of feeling uneasy about anything, but right now he felt more uncomfortable than a sinner in the front pew on Sunday morning. "For heaven's sake, child," Henrietta said, making a tisking sound with her teeth. "You don't need to watch your weight. You're as thin as a rail." "Oh, thank you, Mrs. Small." Madeline brightened, not realizing that Henrietta's statement wasn't exactly a compliment. "I've always been very careful about my weight, and now with so much information available about proper diet and nutrition, I try to make the best choices about what I put into my body. It's my temple," she said, looking at her small portion of macaroni and cheese as if the noodles were going to bite her. Henrietta tilted her head to the side. "I see. So, Madeline, what kinds of food do you like to eat?" "Mostly fresh fruits, vegetables, and lean meats. I was starving when we woke up this morning." Madeline smiled, looking at John. "And I really had my heart set on a nice big salad, but—" John shook his head in disbelief. "You eat takeout nearly every day. The Chinese restaurants know you by voice." Madeline batted her long lashes. "Yes, but I always order steamed vegetables and never, ever anything fried," she corrected, looking at the platter of chicken. Henrietta nodded. "I see." "Mrs. Small, I'm not trying to be rude. I know this is what you call Southern comfort food, but it's really the kind of stuff that can kill you, you know. I can share some delicious low-calorie recipes with you if you like." "You don't even cook," John said, "so how are you going to share a recipe for anything other than how to mix a cocktail?" Henrietta and Isaiah looked at each other, then at their son. "Why are you getting upset?" Madeline asked. "I was simply trying to help your mother so she and your father won't end up with high blood pressure from the food she cooks." John was so embarrassed that his cheeks became hot. "Madeline,"